I I slept okay, but I was awoken at 2 in the morning from my dream. It was one of those dreams where I remember having it, and I was in a zombie scenario where uh, the zombies were coming. They weren't here yet, but they were on the way, and we were trying to uh, get out. And it was just this constant kind of experience of needing to move, needing to do this, needing to do that, and finding kind of reasons why I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that, and just keep running into kind of delays of like getting to safety. So it was one of the first times. I don't typically get nightmares, but this one was definitely kind of freaky. But anyway, other than that, I slept pretty good. Um, so yeah, let's jump into today. So this week, the framework for this week, of course, is implicit bias. Implicit bias is kind of what has seeded your subconscious and what has grown in your subconscious as meaningful. And so, quickly to understand that, your subconscious is your cloud storage. Your consciousness is your browser. So your cloud storage is kind of it's a processor of 40 million bits of information per second. Your browser can process 40 bits of information per second. So inside your subconscious, inside your cloud storage, are the things that have been built by experience. Those things that have been built by experience have become ingrained in your cloud, in your subconscious, and they impact how you feel about things. Everybody has them. There's nothing particularly unique about implicit bias. The thing is that implicit bias is powerful. And the reason why it's powerful is because you will move into an automatic posturing, languaging, communicating, thinking, energetic field. You'll move into it automatically with implicit bias. And that's, in a sense, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing if you're in an area where you are walking into a situation and there's a trigger of some kind of alert or something, and you're like, move, boom, boom. Central nervous system picks that up, body shifts into the sympathetic side of the nervous system, out, gone, right? Zombies are coming, peace. That's part of this system, right? Things go awry when you're stuck on things that aren't accurate, or stuck on things that are just awful, stuck on things that just don't have any value anymore. But because, and this is very important, but because you don't have the awareness of what happens with implicit bias and what it does, you don't know how to change it. And if you don't know how to change it, basically you're susceptible to anybody that kind of validates it. So it's we have all these kind of things inside of our minds that our minds do that we're just not very up to date on. If we looked back, generations or so, we were in a similar situation with the physical body, where there was whole kinds of stuff going on that we just didn't understand. And so now that we understand it more, we know how to talk about it better, and we can really actualize it. The same's kind of happening with the mind. We're still in the early stages of this, and so we're learning how to kind of bring it into the conversation. And that's what the whole world is getting an education on this stuff, whether we like it or not, because we're confronting all the things that we used to just kind of confront on the side, but now we're confronting all the things, all the implicit biases, all these structural things that kind of facilitate certain implicit biases around race, gender, hierarchy, privilege, power, how we remember the past, how we participate with each other now and into the future. basically everything that we've done up to this point is subject to critique and at a societal scale. Now, on an individual scale, when you start practicing mindfulness, that's what starts to happen to you. So I said this a while back. I said some of the first steps that you go through when you start to become mindful is how often you are mindless. And so you start to notice that. And you're like, oh, damn. So when you start to notice that, that means you're starting to interact with your internal world. When you're interacting with your internal world, with any kind of regularity, you develop skill. And as you develop skill, you develop choice. And the reason why choice is valuable is because you can start to see, oh, damn, my whole being changed around this. My whole being went into lockdown because they said this. Or my whole being went into anger and frustration because I saw this. That's how it works. Like, that is literally how it works. So when you start practicing mindfulness, it's like, I'm about to do that again. I saw that I was about to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do something different. And that's all happening within like 5 seconds, right? It's happening quick. And so what you do is you start to choose. Is this what I really want to move forward with? Now, if you don't choose well, what happens is over time, the cumulative effect of ultimately the stuff that you're putting out or you're participating in, if it's not well suited to the world, it's not well suited to the community, there's going to be a backlash. And that's where we're at. We are at the backlash. We are at a massive backlash. Hey, Candace. We are at a massive backlash at a massive level. And so either you get on board, right, or you're going to get swept away. There's really no choice about the matter. So, okay, what do we do now? What do we do now, and where does gratitude fit into this? And the title of Gratitude's a Gun. What are you talking about here? So, all right. So what happens with implicit bias and what happens with our brains is when we see something, understand something, see the effects of something, think the effects of something, imagine the effects of something, our implicit biases can dictate the memories that we have about something and the projections or anticipations about something. So let's take something like a gun, okay? You know what guns do, okay? You've seen what guns do. You've seen what guns do on movies, you've seen them on TV shows, you've seen them in the news. So when you see a gun, you have all those memories and you have the expectation of what happens when that gun fires. So this bullet will go out. And this bullet has the capacity, because you've seen it, to destroy soft tissue. Just destroy it. So whenever you interact with a weapon, your implicit biases include all the things that weapon has done or can do in the past and what your expectations are of what that weapon can do in the future. So you see someone with a gun, even if it's like a little person, or even if it's a person who's without any kind of distinguishing characteristics other than they're carrying a gun, that's enough. Like that's enough. Okay, you have a gun. All right, got it. So again, the implicit bias is not bad. It's another phrase for how we're describing the kind of the way we process information, and in the way our body changes through how we process information. So when a person carries a gun, you see that gun's all that matters. Okay, so what happens is you see the gun, you change, your environment changes, the other person sees you change, and then there's this kind of exchange, right? And it's very easy to understand in the context of a gun because it's got bullets, and you know what bullets do, and it's not hard to explain. Well, so you respect guns. Everybody respects guns. It's very physical, right? A gun is very physical. It's a physical kind of thing. So what most people don't understand is that when you embody or bring gratitude inside your being, you create a similar kind of influence over space, right? So gun is like, I'm here, you're over there, I can reach out and touch you, right? Well, with gratitude, it's really similar. People are very susceptible to other people. And so we mimic and we frame our behavior in a lot of ways based on what the other person's doing. So there's a lot of modeling, a lot of interacting. And so it takes place at a very, very, or at many, many levels. So you got to understand, you're aware, right? Your awareness processor is 40 bits per second. Your subconscious or cloud processor is 40 million bits per second. So it's processing at a huge rate beyond what you're even able to perceive. So you can't be aware of everything the big processor is processing, but your 40 bits of attention processing can override your 40 million bits of cloud processing. But it has to be conscious. It doesn't happen without your attention. So, but my point is, the subconscious processor, the cloud processor, your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, it's recognizing what's going on out there, and it's changing what you're doing in ways that you're not aware of, and you're changing the other person in ways that they're and you aren't aware of, and that's body language. That's how your body's moving, how your body's holding, the tone of your voice, all these things. There's a huge number of stuff. They say 99% of conversation is not verbal, right? Maybe it's like, I'm just shooting a number, but it's a huge percentage. So if you are in a situation and you start even if you're kind of being calm and cool about it, and you start doing stuff like this, and your breath gets really small, and all of a sudden you could be saying the right shit, but the other person's kind of like, wow, it's getting everything's good. And then what happens is meat. The meat turns on. That's what the meat does. The meat just protects you. The meat doesn't give a shit about the processors, doesn't give a shit about anything. The meat just goes into protective mode. Now, that's a whole complicated conversation, blah, blah, blah. But meat just becomes meat. And so if you're putting out meat and you don't even realize it, it doesn't matter whether you realize it or not. If you're putting out meat, you're going to get meat. And meat is very, it's just rudimentary. There's nothing particularly wrong with meat. It's just rudimentary. So you're going to get meat. Now, the opposite's also true. So say you're in a situation where you're in a conflict. Say it's your family, right? Say you're in a divided household. Say you're in a family full of people that support one side of the leadership spectrum and you support the other side. And you're in a conversation and that person is doing everything they can to get your goat. And what it means to get your goat is to get your meat. Turn you into meat. Give me some of that meat, boy. Give me some of that meat. So they're trying to meet you out. And you're like, But at the same time, you're listening to what they're saying, and nothing that they're saying has any real value in your understanding of existence. So they're saying things, and you're just, in your mind, it's just like, this is batshit crazy. Like you're saying, I saw the video. I saw the video. And what you're saying is that video is not actually what I saw. It's actually what someone else said it is, and this is actually what it means. And your brain, not your brain, your mind is going, that's just some bullshit. I can't get with that. And so as you're saying, as your mind, you might even be like listening and being polite and all this other stuff. But as you're processing that information, your body's doing all kinds of shit. And basically what's happening is your heart's closing. Meat, when you're in your meat, your heart closes. That's the big thing. And you need that sometimes, but with your society and community, you don't want that. So when your heart closes, it starts to impact the other person, and that's when things rev up. It's the meat revs up. If you're in family stuff and your meat is all revved up, it's just a recipe for disaster. So what you want is to get from meat to mindful, or meat to prefrontal cortex, or from meat to like really aware. And so how do you do that? Well, you can quite literally just ram gratitude into your subconscious and just totally change everything. And so you can literally just start saying in your head, you could be listening to your mind's chatter of this is just crazy, and you feel your body doing all this kind of stuff. And you could just start saying, thank you, 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 quietly in your own head, thank you, 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 or just gratitude, 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 gratitude. And you could say, if it's a family member, you say, thank you for being here, 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 thank you for being here. And what happens is the other person will change. And they won't realize why they're changing, and you at the beginning won't really realize why they're changing because it's still new. And so that's why I'm saying, if gratitude was a gun, you'd respect it. Because if you thought of your gratitude as a gun, where it's like, I'm gonna pull this trigger and that motherfucker's gonna drop. And gratitude is, I'm gonna start talking gratitude, and that motherfucker's heart's gonna open. Then like for real open, like then you're like, whoa. And all of a sudden gratitude becomes a kind of a strategic advantage. And just being in a state of gratitude becomes kind of a strategic advantage, and the whole conversation changes. So it no longer becomes a form of intellectual sparring. It becomes a matter of kind of, it's almost like, martial arts, right? So, true martial artists spend far more time developing and managing their internal world than most people understand. And the reason why they do that is because when you are in a space of kind of freedom, every option is available to you. When you're stuck in an implicit bias, or you're stuck in one of these kind of mindsets, everything gets really small and you're just not as effective. And so what happens is, like, these great masters will say something like, if someone's confronting you with fire, embody water. If someone's confronting you with earth, embody wind. And what that means is you've got 40 bits of awareness, and but your subconscious is processing 40 million bits per second. So you want that thing just humming, just calm and steady, just waiting and to just whoosh. And as your awareness, you don't want to be thinking, because every time you think, your 40 million bits like shift to like 10 and shift, and so you just get all pigeonholed. So what you want is, you just want this like vast expanse of choice. So how do you get into that space? Well, you get into that space by kind of seeing what's going on and then responding in ways that aren't what other people expect. And so if you can be in a conversation, if you can be in a conversation where there's a lot of volatility, and just start saying in your head, I'm gratitude. No, that'll trigger their meat. But in your mind, you're saying, I'm thankful for being here. I'm thankful that you're talking to me. I'm thankful that we're part of the family. I'm thankful that we're together. What happens is that your internal world will literally change. What that means is your heart will open. When your heart opens, the other person's heart has a very hard time not opening. Like, it's really hard to be around someone with an open heart and not have your heart open. It's almost impossible, which is kind of what, it's kind of what the story of Jesus is all about, right? That's where your real power lies. But that's we'll talk about religion tomorrow. But you can do that. You can do that. And so, most people have gratitude, whatever, like, oh, thank you for this. But that's it. That's the thing. When we get into this realm, and that's where society's headed, when we're getting into these realms of the internal realm, the mind, like, that's where it's at. That's the thing. That's what we're starting to grasp as people. And so get on this sooner than later. Get on this now. Start training with this now. And you'll see that gratitude is more powerful than a gun. And if you can bring gratitude to moments where, there's volatility and there's strife and there's, this kind of like these mental games where you're just like, come on. And you go in there and you start dropping gratitude into your system and your heart starts opening, it will just totally impact the situation. And chances are you'll be able to find peaceful ground. And if you could find peaceful ground inside of an area that is just totally kind of different than what you remember and what you've learned or what you've grown up understanding, that's powerful. Woo! That's more powerful than any gun. Because the problem with a damn gun is you use it, but but you got to keep using it. And if you got to keep using your gun, it's just, oh, God, it's just the worst. Because you have to plan for the fact that it's just destructive and it just closes you down. Like, that's the problem with guns. But gratitude, the more you use gratitude, the more your heart opens. And the more your heart opens, the more the people around you heart will open. And when that starts happening, it's like you don't have to do as much. You do less and less and less. And then other people's goodwill becomes what your relationships are built off of. And when that happens, that's some good shit. So, I am not doing well on time these days. Let's train. Let's do a quick one. We'll do a quick one. Yeah, okay. How about this? All right. We're just going to do a situation. All right. So let's frame it. Let's role play. Hey, Uncle so-and-so, good to see you. Da, 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 da. Oh, great to see you too. How's it going? Blah, 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 blah. Did you see that video of the, this and that and this? Yeah, I saw it. That was just unbelievable. Man, he's been saying we need this, and I agree. This is what we need. Well, I don't know about that. Well, look, this is this and this is that. First bell. This is this and this is that. Okay. Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. Okay, I see what you're saying. That is that and this is that. Okay. Okay, let me just notice what's going on. This is all in your head right now. This is in your head. That person's talking, this is this is that. Oh, he did this. You're talking. Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. The way it was is the way it should be and the way it needs to be. These people here, they do this, that, and this. I mean, they've always been doing this, and this. This is why this is the way this should be. Second bell. You're hearing this, okay? Second bell is feet. They're still talking. You're aware. Pelvis. Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it doesn't core. Heart space, throat, top of the head. Now third bell. You're going, okay, now you're breathing. Best leader of all time. Okay? You're listening to this. They see that you're kind of not really responding or you're not interacting with them too much. They see. Best leader of all time, this is what we need. We need 4 more years of this, and you're just, okay. And then you say, all right, let me just do some breathing here. Japping away. Maybe they're talking to someone else. You're in a conversation, so and then maybe two people are like, well, taking down those monuments. What are we going to place them with? You're aware. This is under a minute, right? This isn't hours. This is under a minute. So this is your training. That's third bell. Okay, so you started breathing. Now, this is what you do. You literally, they're yapping away. You're going, gratitude. And it's happening in your head. It's inside you. They have no idea you're doing this. No idea. Well, there's something to be said about the fact that everything under this guy's leadership is being kind of disrupted. I don't necessarily say he's the greatest leader of all time, but he will be remembered for all time. And change is happening. And I don't know if there could be that kind of change without him. Now, in between those words, as I just stopped, Yep, 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 yep. Yep, 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 yep. Oh, okay, wow. And then you start to see it. And you start to see it. You start to see it. Like, oh, there's an opening there. That's what happens when your 40 billion bit processor, your 40 billion bit processor is not pigeonholed with implicit biases or these kind of like things where you're just like, I can't agree with that. And so you just turn into meat. Oh, fuck, this is so stupid. And your 40 million bit processor is just like down to like 1 bit. And your awareness is down to like meat. So you fight and you're like, how could you say these things? This is crazy. Are you not seeing the world the way I'm seeing the world? Like, what is the matter with you? Meat, meat, meat. And then you're like, oh. But instead, you're like, first bell, let me just get present. Second bell, let me get to the body, feel the body. It's got to, typically when there's eruption, it's all here, right? Okay, so there it is. We breathe. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Gratitude was a gun. You'd respect that shit. Okay, so get with the program. You got way more power than you realize. All right, intentions. Yeah, we'll get out of here. Intentions. We didn't do the practice I particularly do, but like this practice isn't for relaxation. It's not to relax. It's not to transcend reality. It's to armor down. It's to armor down inside of really tough times and bring forth goodwill. And when you bring forth goodwill, it's just good. It's good. So you get into a conversation. You're recognizing where it's going. You notice the moment. You capture the moment. You get to the body. You see that it's starting to come up. It's getting tight. You breathe to let that shit out. And then you put gratitude in. Gratitude, 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 gratitude. Your heart starts to open and you watch it change and you're just like, damn, that's effective. Whoa. And then all of a sudden, 2 more hours of family time doesn't have any edge to it. And you're just like, this is so nice. So, what's your intention for today? How are you going to ram home gratitude? What's going to pack that clip? Pack that clip of gratitude. Ba-bow. Ba-bow. Bring your goodwill. Bring your goodwill to some hard conversations. Try it. Try it. The mind, if you try to do it with your mind and you try to intellectualize it or beat the person with an argument, it's just not going to work. It's one of the things that 45 has done. 45 has destroyed the grounds on which civil discourse can be sustained. Civil discourse has to be sustained by relationships of two people agreeing on a foundation of discourse. That's all gone. It's all gone. So you have to be more skillful. And that's ultimately where the practice of mindfulness comes in, to be more skillful. So when they come with you come with gratitude, you both open your heart because you put gratitude into the situation and the conversations change completely. A little bit different today. I want to respect your time. But yeah, always a pleasure. Armor down.